I'm back, bitches. So, it's been a couple fucking months since I last uploaded, and I'm sorry. I was gonna upload, like, back in February, but then I got sick, and then shit just kind of started spiraling out of control after that, and I'm also, like, kind of lazy. But I bring you this video. You remember Monster Hunter Wilds, that game that came out, like, a few months ago? So, it's already been talked to death, and people already know about it, and people probably don't really care about new videos about it. Yeah, it's about that, because I am unoriginal. But this video is for the new gen Monster Hunters out there, the people who just started playing the game. This is their very first Monster Hunter experience. When you begin Monster Hunter, the biggest important decision you're going to make is what weapon you're going to use. And when you ask someone what weapon you should use, 9 times out of 10, they're just going to tell you the weapon they use the most. And they're going to try to sell this weapon to you harder than door-to-door salesmen trying to make enough money to buy his fucking kids food. But instead of just using a weapon someone tells you to use, you should go through them all and find a weapon that's the most fun to you and fits your playstyle the best, because honestly, all of them have differing playstyles and suit different people. You shouldn't be using a longsword just because someone tells you to. But you shouldn't limit yourself to just one weapon that you're good at. You should always find 2 or 3 that you know how to use, just in case the first one isn't really working out for the monster you're hunting. And in Wilds, the game lets you carry a second weapon on your Sacred, so you can easily switch out on the fly when you need to. And it's especially useful when you're going against 2 monsters in a single hunt. I mean, let's say you go into a quest, but that has 2 separate monsters. One monster is a bit slower than the others, and one monster is a bit more agile and fast. So for the first monster, you might bring something like the Greatsword, because you'll actually be able to hit him effectively and do good damage. But the second monster is much more nimble and agile, so the Greatsword isn't going to be doing nearly as good as with the first monster. So that way you can have a second weapon on your Sacred that's much more mobile and quick. Speaking of the weapons, do you see that thing at the top left of your screen? Yeah, that thing right there. Hold on, let me zoom in. That thing. You see it? This thing right there. That shows the sharpness of your weapon. And yes, that includes the fucking hammer. And unless you're using a ranged weapon, you're going to have that bar at the top of your screen. As you attack the monster, your sharpness bar will go down. The lower the sharpness, you're going to start doing a little less damage, and there's a chance your weapon attacks will bounce off if it gets way too low. So, you always want to keep your weapon sharp, and the game gives you a whetstone to do that. Also, when you start upgrading your weapon, it's going to start gaining more and more sharpness based on how high of a level it is. You want to keep checking this bar every once in a while throughout a hunt just to make sure your weapon's sharp. And another thing to keep your eye on is your positioning when fighting. A lot of your attacks in this game can and will hit your teammates if you're too close to them, so you don't want to be right on top of them at all times. You want to spread out a bit, that way so you're not interrupting each other. And a lot of veterans of this game have a certain disdain for a certain weapon because they're just known for getting in the way and hitting their teammates out of their combos. And speaking of positioning, there's also something else that goes hand in hand with that. Weak points. You will be given what is known as the Monster Field Guide. This thing has every information about a monster you will ever fucking need in the game. The field guide will show you what parts of the monster you should be hitting with certain weapons. If you use the hammer, you're only going to be hitting one part of the fucking monster, and that is the head. 99% of the time, you are aiming for that fucking thing to knock that motherfucker out. If you're using bladed or slashing weapons, then you're gonna want to go for the tail to be able to cut it off. And the Monster Field Guide, it also shows you what element is effective against a certain monster. It'll also show you resistances to status effects and items. And depending on what monster you're fighting, you're going to want to bring an effective elemental or status weapon. And granted, you can kill a monster without using the right elemental weapon, albeit you're going to be doing less damage because of that. Another thing that will help you in your hunts is something known as decorations/jewels. Once you get to high rank, you will be able to obtain these, and these can be placed on your weapons or your armor depending on the type of jewel it is. And the thing is, there are a lot of jewels in this game, and they all have a varying range of abilities. There's some that'll increase your critical hit chance, there's some that'll increase your critical hit damage, they can increase your elemental damage, they can reduce damage done to you, they can increase status effect amount, and that is just a few of them. Another thing you want to do in this game is eat, and you can eat a meal using your grill. In the older Monster Hunter games, you would eat a meal before every single hunt, because that would give you a subsequent buff. But in Monster Hunter Wilds, when you eat, the buff lasts for a certain amount of time.
So instead of having to eat every hunt, you can now eat every few hunts. Something else that's new to Monster Hunter Wilds is the Sacreds. This is basically a mount that you use throughout the game. And other than just riding around the map on them, you can also keep your second weapon on them, but you can also use items when you're on them. So if you're fighting a monster on your own, it'd be wise to hop on your Sacred to get the extra mobility while you drink a potion or sharpen your weapon. And Monster Hunter Wilds is a multiplayer game. If you ask me, this game was meant to be played with other people. There's nothing wrong with playing the game by yourself, but I will say the game is a lot more fun when you have other people helping you out. And if your lonely ass doesn't have any friends to play this game with, don't worry, this game's got your back. When you start a hunt, the game gives you the option to shoot up an SOS flare. It basically takes your hunt and makes it public to a bunch of other players to be able to join it, knowing that you need help. But sometimes it can take a while before someone joins, or honestly, they might not even join at all. And genuinely, 9 times out of 10, you're gonna get someone joining your quest. But on the off chance that it takes a while or no one joins, the game added AI hunters to help you out anyway, just in case. The game will give you 3 feints during a quest before the quest fails, so if you feint 3 times, it's over. But if one of the AI hunters dies, it doesn't penalize you whatsoever. But that's the end. I do appreciate you watching. I'm not going to beg for likes and subs because I don't feel like I deserve them. But if you do, thank you. But I can also guarantee that no one's watching this part because they've already probably clicked off the video in the first 38 seconds like they normally do. But if you are watching the last little bit of this video, you're a lot cooler than everyone else.